All right, good morning and welcome commissioners, CDE staff, and members of the public watching remotely. I'm Manuel Rustin, the chair of the Instructional Quality Commission, and I hereby call this meeting to order. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we are continuing to hold these important meetings virtually. The IQC meeting logistics will follow AB 361, Chapter 165, Statutes of 2021, which allows state bodies that fall under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act to hold public meetings that are covered by Bagley-Keene with web conferencing and audio conferencing. Therefore, today's IQC meeting is a video conference meeting with a live webcast. Public comments on items on today's agenda may be provided during the meeting by dialing 717-908-1926, and then following a prompt to provide a participant access code. Callers will then be added to a queue. The operator will notify callers when it is their turn to provide public comment. If possible, we recommend members of the public dialing in for public comment to continue to view the live stream of the meeting for a better understanding of the meeting's status. When it's your turn, please mute the live cast audio. When giving public comment, please state the following. First, your first and last name. Second, your organization affiliation, if any. And third, your public comments. Again, the phone number is 717-908-1926. The access code is 1166083.
Recording in progress.
The phone number and access code will also be announced at the start of public comment for each item. This is also outlined on the November 17, 2021 IQC agenda posted on the IQC webpage. Now I will introduce each commissioner participating in today's meeting. When I call your name, unmute your microphone and confirm your attendance. Then mute your microphone again. Vice Chair Costa Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Cristina Andre.
Present.
Commissioner Mariana Astorga Almanza.
Here.
Commissioner Christine Chapman.
Present.
Commissioner Shay Fairchild.
Present.
Commissioner Anita Friedman.
Present.
Commissioner Lindsay Gotanda.
Present.
Commissioner Lily Jarvis.
Present.
Commissioner Yolanda Munoz.
Present.
Commissioner David Pantai.
Present.
Commissioner Danae Popovich.
Present.
Commissioner Alma Delia Renteria.
Present.
Commissioner Pam Williamson.
Present.
Commissioner Kimberly Young.
Present.
Student Commissioner Juliana Garcia.
Present.
Assembly Member James Ramos. And Senator Ben Allen will be absent today. All right. Student Commissioner Garcia, will you do the honors of leading us in a salute to the flag, please? I am not sure.
Might be having audio issues.
I believe so. Sounds like it may be a connection issue.
Yes, it does appear that she is having a connection issue.
Can I ask any of the, maybe any of the commissioners for whom today is their last meeting, would any of you like to lead the salute to the flag?
I can do that.
Thank you.
Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Munoz. All right, so overview of today's agenda. First of all, I just want to apologize in advance for any bells or background high school noise that you may hear. I'm in a random office on our campus, so I'll do my best to mute my mic when the bell goes off. In any case, today's agenda remains unchanged and includes we'll receive a presentation about the California Dyslexia Initiative, and we will plan the January 19, 2022 new commissioner orientation. At this time, I want to review some procedures regarding today's video conference meeting. During commissioner deliberation today, I will call on each commissioner by name. Only the commissioner who is speaking will have his or her microphone unmuted, and all others' microphones will remain muted. Commissioners, please use the raise hand feature if you want to speak and make a comment. And please wait until you're called upon to unmute your microphone and speak. And all votes will be done by roll call. Next item is item 1D, approval. I thought I was gonna catch that one, but in any case, next item is item 1D, approval of the September 2022, 2023, September 22 through September 23rd, 2021 IQC meeting minutes. The public comment for this agenda item is now open. Please follow the instructions on the screen if you would like to give public comment on the calendar. You have the minutes of the September 22nd and 23rd, 2021 IQC meeting before you. If you have substantive changes, please present them now. If there are minor changes not affecting the content, please email them to Denise Figueroa, who is our IQC liaison. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Thank you. That was Commissioner Fairchild, I believe. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Williamson. The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Williamson. Is there any discussion of the motion? Is there any public comment on the motion? I believe we are ready to vote. Denise, can you please conduct the roll call vote?
Yes, there is no public comment. Chair Rustin?
Yes.
Vice Chair Costa Hernandez?
I abstain. I wasn't at the...
Thank you. Commissioner Andre?
Yes.
Commissioner Stargala-Mansa?
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman?
Yes.
Commissioner Fairchild?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman?
Yes.
Commissioner Gotanda?
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Munoz?
Yes.
Commissioner Pantay?
Yes.
Commissioner Popovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Renteria?
Yes.
Commissioner Williamson? Commissioner Williamson?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Student Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is my chair report, and I'll keep this brief. The first thing I want to mention is a bit bittersweet, and that's the fact that we have 2 more IQC positions that are open for next year. And if you're watching this or listening to this, please know that we are seeking IQC commissioners with an expertise in mathematics, physical education, or English language arts and English language development. So as I've said before, being on the commission as a classroom teacher, as a full-time classroom teacher, has been really a great joy for myself, and I've learned so much. And although things are very difficult in the education world these days, given the challenges of the pandemic and all that we're facing, the work being done by this commission to build a better future for our students and improve what we're already doing in the classroom is very, very valuable. So I definitely invite anybody who has an expertise in those subject areas, again, that's mathematics, physical education, English language arts, and English language development, to consider applying for this commission, to be on this commission. And those applications and all that information can be found at the IQC website. And I believe the application deadline is December 1st. So you have 2 weeks, which is better than last time. I think the last time I gave this report, the applications were due like 2 days after that, but 2 weeks this time. So please do consider being part of this or sharing that information with educators that you know. And again, IQC website has all that information. And also, in the coming weeks, for those wondering, we are looking for an IQC commissioner who has expertise in mathematics, and a lot of folks are looking forward to the mathematics framework, the latest revisions. Those revisions will be available soon in the coming weeks. As you may recall, back in our May meeting, several edits were proposed by this commission and by members of the subject matter committee, and CFERT is hard at work getting those edits done, and some of those edits were quite significant, so it's taking some time. So please continue to be patient, and we look forward to seeing the most recently revised version of the mathematics framework. The commissioners who were identified during that meeting to take a look at the framework, to take a look at the revisions and make sure they match what was approved at the meeting. Those commissioners will be taking a look at that sometime soon. And then of course, the framework draft will be back out there for public comments, and a lot of our work next calendar year will revolve around, of course, that mathematics framework. And lastly, I just want to remind folks that at our last IQC meeting, we approved 3 arts education programs and 10 world language programs and sent those on to the State Board of Education for their approval. So if you are a arts educator or a world languages educator, those instructional materials are one step closer to being fully available for your use and all that. So that's it for my chair report for this time. And now it is time for the report of the executive director.
Thank you so much, Commission Chair Rustin. It's hard to believe that another year is coming to a close, and the work of the IQC, the State Board of Education, or the CDE has not faltered one bit. At this time, I would like to yield my time to CDE's Deputy Superintendent of the Instruction, Measurement, and Administration Branch, Cheryl Cotton.
Thank you, Interim Director Torres. Let me acknowledge the commissioners, board liaisons, and members of the public. Thank you all for being here today. We all know how the pandemic has changed and how it continues to change the way we engage, meet, and act. These changes have not slowed our work over the past year. The work began with the IQC's recommendation for the 2022 revision of the MathWorks framework to the State Board of Education. In the summer, as our IQC Chair shared, our IQC facilitators supported the facilitation of the 2021 Arts and 2021 World Languages instructional materials adoptions. In August, the committee held a meeting solely to hear public comment on the adoptions, and in September, approved recommendations for adoption of submitted materials. The IQC recommended 2 visual arts programs and 1 music program for arts, and 8 Spanish language programs and 2 French language programs for world languages. And I'm happy to report, again, that 2 weeks ago, the State Board of Education accepted these recommendations. Across multiple content areas and disciplines, the IQC continues to do right by students, educators, and communities. We value all the time you invested and the dedication you've shown. Thank you for continuing to serve California's students. And now I'll pass the meeting back to IQC Chair Rustin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, next item is item 1G, which is our report from our State Board of Education liaisons. I'll go ahead and pass it over to, I don't know which.
So I'm going to start.
All right, there we go.
So Member Rucker and I are going to share we had a really interesting and thoughtful board meeting, but the beginning of it was started off by, it's an annual November meeting, the Student Advisory Board on Education. So I have to tell you, if you listen to our students, juniors and seniors in high school, talk about what's important in education, you have amazing hope for the future of our state and our country. And so if you want to watch the video or else look at the attachment on the State Board agenda, they get together for 3 days, was done remotely. They write up proposals for what the State Board should do. And they recommended 6 initiatives, 1 in diversity, equity, and inclusion, post-high school preparedness, student wellness, civic engagement, equitable education, and socioeconomic support. And let me say, they gave good rationale. They gave lots of specifics. It is very exciting to listen to. I would just say, worthy to look at the attachment on the agenda. And if you want to hear them speak, you'd feel even better. But that was the beginning of our meeting. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I would like to share is that we did some updates to the LCAP. They were required by legislation, but we did talk about the LCAP getting very long, and we think we're updating it better with better prompts and better formatting and language and things that they have to address. But we have asked the CDE and the team in the coming year to take a look if there's any redundancy or repetitiveness, areas where we could shorten the LCAP. But a couple of highlights, I think, based on the legislation that we did do is they had to have specific goals in the LCAP to identify what the student groups that are they're focusing on. They had to calculate carryover supplemental and concentration funds, so we know what that special funds are doing, and looking at a concentration grant add-on for increased staffing. So there were some specifics about that. And then they had to do a one-time supplement to the annual update. These were all things that were legislatively required. Another important change is instead of using the word stakeholder, we are now going to use educational partner. So I think you're going to see that in a lot of groups where we're trying to get input from different groups in our community. So we did a lot of talking about it. There was a lot of outreach about what the right word would be to represent partners in our educational community, and that's what we're going to be using. So I just wanted to share that as well. Let me just see if there's there also was, there was the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards, a certification incentive program. So that was presented as well. Very exciting to award grants to school districts for providing awards to teachers who are assigned to teach in high priority public schools. We know we have a teacher shortage, and we also know that we need to continue to recruit and retain our quality teachers. So this, if a teacher agrees to teach in a high priority school for at least 5 years, there's a total, it's $5,000 a year for a total of $25,000. So if you want more information, that's also an item that I think important to take a look at as well. Member Rucker, I'm going to turn it over to you for a couple of other important items that we wanted to share.
Thank you very much, Board Member Strauss. Good morning, Commissioner Rustin. Good morning, commissioners on the IQC and CDE staff. I want to begin by saying that, so that I don't bury the lead, that the 3 words to summarize our report would be patience, persistence, and humility. I'm going to start with the math framework. The board took action to again revise and update the schedule of significant events for the 2022 revision of the mathematics framework. The revision of the framework, as this commission knows, is a multi-step process. And throughout that process, there have been opportunities for public input at educator focus groups, the Instructional Quality Commission meetings, even at the framework committee meetings itself, as well as state board meetings and during 2 60-day public review periods. At the December 2020 meeting, the Math CFCC recommended the draft to the IQC. The IQC reviewed that draft at the January 2021 meeting and approved posting of the draft for the first 60-day public review. During that review and comment period, more than 500 individual and groups submitted suggestions for changes to the draft. Working with the writing team, the Department of Education staff developed recommendations to address the suggested edits and corrections for the framework. Those edits and corrections were adopted by the IQC, along with additional edits and corrections, as Commissioner Rustin pointed out, at the May 2021 meeting. At that meeting, the IQC recommended to the Framework Committee that the State Board following a second 60-day public comment period. At its 2021 meeting, the board extended the timeline to allow the writing team additional time to implement the changes approved by the IQC. Well, since then, the writers have been developing new draft chapters to reflect the direction that was given from the IQC. This process has proven to be more time-consuming than expected. Furthermore, with additional time, it's very likely additional time will be needed after the second 60-day public comment and review period for the state board to fully evaluate the feedback from the public. To ensure that all of these steps are completed effectively, the board took action at this month's meeting to move the start of the second field review to early 2022 and extend the final action by the board on the framework to the July 2022 meeting. Before I go on, does the IQC have any questions about the impact of that action? Okay, so then I'm very excited to talk about this next item. The California Community Schools Partnership Program, the board took action on this item to approve a proposed application administrative plan for the 2021 project cycle. The California Community Schools Partnership Program was established in 2020, and in that year, the first round of grants was awarded for the program in 2021. It was about $45 million in funding to existing community school initiatives. This year's allocation is a significantly larger commitment from the state of California, approximately $2.8 billion. It significantly broadens the reach and scope of the program, and it will make it grants available for both new and existing community schools and add a technical assistance component. It's really important to note that in 2020, the Community Schools Partner Program received 102 applications from across the state with a request totaling almost $170 million. After a scoring process, the CDE awarded 20 grants to schools serving over 150 community school sites. These particular grants for that first cohort were awarded to existing community school programs across the state and were given considerations for those LEAs with 80% or higher free or reduced lunch demographics. For 2021, the California legislature allocated $2.8 billion. That's with a B, just in case I'm not enunciating clearly. The legislation establishes 3 different grant opportunities, as well as funding for regional technical assistance centers starting in the 2021-22 program year. And this funding will run multiple years through 2027-28. The grants include planning grants, implementation grants, coordination grants, as well as the grants for the Technical Assistance Center. What's exciting about the scope, depth, and magnitude of impact for this program is it significantly increases the time frame and the funding. While the initial cohort for the program was relatively small with only 20 grants, this new initiative is intended over the next 7 years to reach all of the schools in the state, with more than 80% of students living in poverty through networks of schools supported or coordinated by districts and county offices, and to do so in ways that transform all of the elements of the school for supporting student learning and care. We spend a lot of time with this commission and on the state board talking about closing the achievement gap. And a lot of our attention has been focused on accountability and student outcomes on test scores and assessment. This program expands the scope of the conversation to include what it means to address the constraints and the support requirements for our students for whom the achievement gap poses the greatest threat, not only to their opportunity to succeed in school, but to the options and the opportunities that will be afforded to them after they leave our school system. So I'm so proud to be a part of this board to jumpstart this initiative. I won't be on the board by the time this program reaches its full fruition, but it's so excited to see this process get started and to see the opportunity for this work to move forward. I want to close by just simply recognizing the outgoing IQC commissioners, Christine Chapman, Alma Delia Renteria, Shay Fairchild, and Yolanda Munoz. I remember well your orientation meeting. I remember spending time laughing and giggling so inappropriately with Alma Delia Renteria. I remember sitting and talking with Christine Chapman during several curriculum framework meetings. Shay Fairchild just makes me laugh, and I just am so happy every time we were actually at a face-to-face meeting to get a chance to catch up and hear things she was doing at school. Yolanda Munoz and I have known each other ever since I started working at the California Teachers Association, and she emerged as a teacher leader in all of the work she does, not only in her classroom, but as a leading advocate for California teachers across the state. You all I stylize and idealize what leadership looks like. And in your work and your role on this IQC, you have absolutely exhibited the important traits of patience, persistence, and humility. I will miss you, but I'm so glad I got a chance to know you. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. And we certainly will speak more about the contributions of the outgoing commissioners towards the end of this meeting. But yes, a lot of great news that you shared. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, so next up on the agenda for today is item 1H, which is a presentation from the California Dyslexia Initiative. And for this section, public comment is now open. So please follow the instructions on your screen if you would like to give comment on the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Executive Director Torres.
Thank you so much, Chair Rustin. At our last meeting in September, we had a guest speaker from Seaford to talk about the important work that the Clearinghouse for Specialized Media and Technology does to ensure that our state board adopted instructional materials are accessible to all students. Now, the presentation was well received by the commission, and so we've asked Jennifer Buzelich and Richard Gifford to return today to share information about the related work that they do with the California Dyslexia Initiative. And with that said, I now yield the floor to Jennifer and Richard.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting us today. I'm Richard Gifford with the California Department of Education. I'm an education programs consultant in the Curriculum Frameworks and Instructional Resources Division. I'm also the grant monitor for the California Dyslexia Initiative. And my co-presenter today is Jennifer Buzelich, also with CDE, and she's my manager in the Clearinghouse for Specialized Media and Technology unit. Tammy Wilson with the Sacramento County Office of Education is the CDI project lead, but she wasn't able to join us today. But we want to include her here as well for reference. I'm going to talk briefly about the California Dyslexia and how the California Dyslexia Initiative came to be and the goals of the project. Then Jen will provide more specific information on current and upcoming CDI activities. Next slide. In recent years, California has devoted increasing attention and resources to the needs of students with dyslexia. For example, Assembly Bill 1369, passed in 2015, directed CDE to develop the California Dyslexia Guidelines with the goal of improving educational services and support for students with dyslexia. The California legislature also allocated funding in 2019 to establish the UC-CSU California Collaborative for Neurodiversity and Learning. This initiative is focused on connecting leading experts in neuroscience and K-12 education to strengthen educational support and new teaching methods for children with diverse learning needs, including students with dyslexia and other literacy issues. The California Dyslexia Initiative is a continuation of these efforts. The 2021 state budget included $4 million to fund the CDI and promote the development of dyslexia-related resources for California students and educators. The CDI funding was to be awarded to a designated county office of education to lead the project in partnership with an institute of higher education. Next slide, please. After an application and interview process, CDE, the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, and the State Board of Education selected the Sacramento County Office of Education to lead this work. The UC San Francisco Dyslexia Center was selected as the IHE partner. Next slide, please. The goals of the CDI include building statewide capacity to provide early intervention and support for students with specific learning disabilities such as dyslexia, identifying effective identification and treatment models within the educational context, developing and delivering professional development on evidence-based instruction and strategies informed by research, developing partnerships between LEAs, and using the statewide system of support to disseminate professional development, information, and resources. The CDI team includes the Sacramento County Office of Education, the University of California, San Francisco Dyslexia Center, the California Department of Education, California State Board of Education, and the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. And in addition to ongoing collaboration, the CDI team has small monthly meetings to focus on current work and larger quarterly meetings to report out on the project. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Jen Buslich.
Good morning, commissioners and state board members. It is a pleasure to be back with you again, and thank you for the time. As you heard from Richard, we are the team working on the California Dyslexia Initiative. So I'd like to take a moment to, for anyone who may be listening, not see the slide, just to read this slide, the quote on the slide. This quote comes from Katz and Hogan, 2020. Through these combined efforts, great strides have been made in screening and intervention, and it is now becoming increasingly possible to prevent dyslexia. Again, when we say prevent dyslexia, we do not mean to alter the neurological attributes that underlie dyslexia, but rather reduce or eliminate the severe reading problems that characterize the disorder. As I mentioned, that's from Katz and Hogan. This quote was selected to share with you because it really gets at the heart of improving reading and screening efforts. It acknowledges the ability of our educators and our educational system to reduce or eliminate the severe reading problems that are characterized by our students with dyslexia. A major goal of the California Dyslexia Initiative is to improve our screening and intervention efforts across the state. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as Richard mentioned, as part of the CDI, SCOE was partnered with an Institute of Higher Education. It is the UCSF Dyslexia Center. The UCSF Dyslexia Center is developing and testing a digital screening system, which will be made free and publicly available to all LEAs in California once it's completed. If you want to learn more about this particular screener, you can visit the UCSF Dyslexia Center website. Next slide, please. So currently, SCOE has, under the umbrella of the Dyslexia Initiative, identified 3 local sites in our region for a research study on the screener. There will be screener testing and validation done at these sites, and they are the Spinelli School in Center Joint Unified School District. And in Yuba City Unified, we have Winnetier and April Lane Elementary School. UCSF also has multiple other partnerships with other schools and districts throughout the state, conducting very similar research on that screener. Next slide, please. So how did we get these sites to join and participate? The implementation sites were offered customized professional learning for their participation in this research study. SCOE is providing customized site-based and district-level professional learning based on the district needs in the area of literacy. Both of the 2 districts participating have cohorts of teachers who are taking the core online elementary reading academy course to build a common language and understanding around the teaching of reading. Next slide, please. Thank you. So one strategy for improving both screening and intervention practices is to begin developing a common language around reading instruction in our state. Under the CDI initiative, or the California Dyslexia Initiative, we are offering professional learning called LETTERS, or Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. This professional learning is accredited by the International Dyslexia Association. It's research aligned and it's curriculum agnostic, which means it's not a PD, it's not a curriculum, it's a professional learning opportunity. You may have heard that Mississippi is ranked #1 in the nation for gains on the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the NAEP, with their 4th grade students making the largest score gains in the nation from 2017 to 2019 in reading. Prompted by legislation passed in Mississippi 4 years ago, the LETRS professional development training is required now for all of their K-3 teachers statewide. So since the implementation, they have consistently seen that their reading scores are improving. Next slide, please. Thank you. So for our cohorts, we have 2 cohorts of 80 colleagues across our state engaging in the LETRS professional learning opportunity. The grant team decided to start building the common language with colleagues who guide and lead our ELA curriculum decision-making processes across the state. These would be our county office colleagues. This is considered a capacity building strategy underneath the CDI umbrella and is similar to what Mississippi did to begin gaining momentum around improving reading outcomes for students in their state. Next slide, please. Thank you. So foundationally, LETRS aligns with a theoretical model commonly referred to in reading research literature as the simple view of reading. In a nutshell, the simple view of reading states that reading comprehension is a product of printed word recognition and language comprehension. LETRS is a 2-year professional development, and there are 2 volumes of learning throughout this professional learning series. In year 1 of the plan, the cohort is going to be proceeding through volume 1 of LETRS. And on the screen, you can see the 4 units of study that will be falling under volume 1. These all fall under word recognition. In the 2nd year, the group will participate in or will take the language comprehension strands. And we have those unit titles on the screen for your viewing as well. Something that we really want to point out that is a huge piece of the California Dyslexia Initiative is that when we talk about reading, it's critically important that we are avoiding an either-or stance. Both sides of the simple view of reading are needed for our students to be successful reading, to be successful readers. Next slide, please. Thank you. So there are multiple components that the cohorts are going through and that they have to participate in to complete the LETRS training. There is a kickoff session that's already occurred. They are working through the LETRS manuals, volumes 1 and 2. There are online learning modules for each lesson within there. There are full-day Zoom session trainings with one of the LETRS authors. There's an end of the year convening for each year. And then we also have some optional huddles. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in addition to the required elements, as I mentioned, the optional huddles are what we consider our community of practice around LETRS. They are open to any of our participants to collaborate and connect about what they're learning in the training and how to apply it. They are held monthly. And so far, we've had a few, and they have been really well attended and well received. Next slide, please. Another piece of the initiative that we're focusing on, which is a capacity building strategy, is offering an expert webinar series focused on why some students struggle to learn to read, how to recognize the risk factors in students, and how to support reading difficulties and dyslexia in the classroom. SCOE has created companion documents that go along with each of the webinars that include follow-up discussion and activity guides that can be used with teachers and educators as they work on the webinar and the content of the webinar following it. The intent of the guide is to support a deeper exploration of the content presented. Next slide, please. So in this slide, we just show some of our presenters that we have scheduled. All of these folks are experts in the field of dyslexia and literacy, and they are currently scheduled to present in the series. We have Jack Fletcher, Hugh Katz, Nancy Cushion-White, Julie Washington, Elsa Cardenas-Hagen, Marianne Wolf, and Maria Luisa Gorno-Tampini. The webinar series is free, and if you would like to participate, please check out the California Dyslexia Initiative website. Next slide, please. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Richard. Again, thank you for your time, everyone.
So we just want to talk a little bit about some other professional development that's occurring or is available through the CDI. So SCOE is also working on developing professional learning modules for statewide rollout. The goal is to have a suite of resources that will support the use of the digital screening system that UCSF is developing. Given the current context, SCOE is focusing on short, bite-sized professional development opportunities to build knowledge and capacity around supporting struggling readers and students with dyslexia. Next slide, please. Another deliverable of the CDI is a repository of tools and resources designed to help local educational agencies across the state identify and provide services and support to pupils with specific learning disabilities, such as dyslexia. These tools and resources may be newly developed or already existing. Next slide. For more information about the CDI, you can send an email to the address on the screen or visit SCOE's CDI website. Next slide, please. And please email any of us if you would like to learn more about the CDI. Thank you so much for allowing us to present today.
Thank you so much for the presentation. These last two meetings, I've learned so much. I do want to open it up before we get on to the next agenda item to any commissioners if you have any questions about what was just presented. If so, raise your hand. I'll go ahead and ask Denise, however, if there was any public comment on the presentation.
There is not.
Okay.
Member Rustin, I'm just wondering, are we going to get that slide deck?
It's a good question.
We can definitely share the slide deck.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I do want to add my compliments for the presentation. This is a very difficult subject matter to tackle and present and to make relevant, not only to the work that's being done by the IQC, but to understand the impact of this work in the districts that are represented by the people sitting on this panel. So I do really want to thank you for putting together a very compelling and very informative presentation. And please pass my compliments on to your team members as well.
Thank you, Ms. Rucker.
Thank you.
All right. So now we will move on to the next item of the agenda, which is item 1I, planning the January 19, 2022 new commissioner orientation.
All right. So yes, item 1I, the 2022 new commissioner orientation will be a virtual meeting. Prior to today's meeting, you all have been sent the draft agenda. I'd like to open the floor for discussion on what worked last year and what you'd like to see for this upcoming orientation, especially in the light of the virtual meeting requirement. So in the, oh, sorry, there's hands up. Member Strauss?
Thank you. I just want to say that I think over the last many years, we've gotten better at the orientation. And I particularly like the role-playing part later once to get to practice, because if you come into IQC, there's a lot going on. It's very procedural, and we have public requirements for hearings and comments. And so I think keeping that in practicing the process, because as you can think about it when you first came in until you figured out the first 6 or 8 months and had a hearing and when you make your comments and things. So I just want to reinforce that that's a really good activity later in the process to practice, particularly when it comes to edits that we'll probably have to hear on upcoming frameworks, and that whole process of what the subject matter project does versus the large IQC. I think that's a balance of understanding when you put your comments in, what your role is. I think it's important also to make sure that everyone knows what the prep is before, because there's sometimes a lot of reading and documentation. So I just put that out there to start the conversation.
Thank you so much, Member Strauss. Commissioner Fairchild.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think it is going to be very important that we model what it means to read the framework, how to do your edits, what edits are we expecting. And I think too, it would be helpful. Like when I came in for the science, I wasn't there for the framework, but I came in for the curriculum adoption. It might be beneficial to give a little bit of history too, about what has occurred to this point and how they are continuing the storyline. I think that would help give the new incoming commissioners what they, how to continue that story. You need, we do have some institutional knowledge, but they also have to help continue. So I think that would be helpful. Also, I think it would be great, we get paired up with a buddy. It would be great if we had some breakout time with our buddy to try and get to know them. I also feel it would be helpful for us to have opportunities throughout, because we aren't in person, where we have those side conversations to get to know people, where we can try and get to know our fellow commissioners, since we are going to be online, because I feel that was one of the richest pieces that I brought, that I got out of this experience as well, is those connections and giving that time to network.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Fairchild. Commissioner Jarvis.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I couldn't agree with you more, both Board Member Strauss and Commissioner Fairchild. As I still find my way as kind of halfway through my term, I still lean on some orientation of what is expected of me at each and every meeting. So I think that would be helpful in terms of the logistics, and the forms and functions of each meeting can vary. And so kind of giving an overview of what is expected of each commissioner, especially as it pertains to any subject matter committee that they participate in, and so on. So I think that just some grounding, orienting information might be helpful to them. And also, I agree with Commissioner Fairchild. It was very, very helpful to me to be paired with Chairperson Rustin, because he, they paired us because we were, geographically local. But I felt that just knowing that I had someone to text or to ask a question to, or to sit next to at a restaurant or something, and to lean on, was very helpful. So I do encourage that pairing to continue, and especially if we're going to be virtual, to provide an opportunity for them to establish rapport and get to know each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jarvis. Commissioner Munoz.
Hi, I just want to add also one thing. I think that preparation, how do we prepare for the meetings, is instrumental for the new members to know on, and the other two commissioners hit on that. I think providing us with commission with the organizational map when a subject matter is in the process of being adopted. It used to, when I started, we used to have a flow map because there were so many of them, is when was the subject matter going to be introduced? What day was the 60-day or review process was going to be? What was going to be happening after that, to keep us organized? The other thing I'd like to also suggest is having a discussion as to how do people prepare for deliberations? How do you go by line in making the recommendations that you want to recommend on a framework? Sometimes it was got a little convoluted because we all had different ways of streamlining it. And then toward the end of my tenure, we kind of streamlined it as a group. But to also talk about how do people prepare for reading through all the chapters in the framework so that it goes faster and that everybody really gets the chance to give input and deliberate. Because sometimes the deliberation was very quiet and they didn't get a whole chance of what were other people thinking, other commissioners thinking about that particular area. And so it was kind of a little bit muted. I also think it's kind of fun to play games a little bit so that you can get to know each other, because that's really like we imitate what we see in the classroom. We have to make those one-on-one connections. The staff, though, has been really great in doing that, but I think as a commission, it needs to be a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Munoz. Are there any other thoughts about how to improve the orientation, or thoughts about how we've held it in the past? Again, having taught math, I'm really good on wait time. A lot of a deer in the headlights look. Okay. Well, thank you all for your thoughtful discussion on this. And I will, at this point, unless there's any other thoughts, now turn the meeting over to Chair Rustin.
All right, thank you. So we've reached that point in the meeting now. As mentioned by Board Member Rucker during her comments earlier, this is the last IQC meeting for a few of our commissioners. So item 1J, Commissioner Acknowledgements, Commissioner Chapman, Commissioner Fairchild, and Commissioner Munoz, and Commissioner Renteria, their last meeting is today, as their terms on the IQC are ending. And I just want to say, before I hand it over to other commissioners to share any acknowledgements that they want to share, I just want to say that when I first joined the commission, however many years ago, it feels like it was yesterday. And like a lot of you probably, I was very nervous about it. Myself, I'm a classroom teacher, and I know several folks on the commission happen to be working, district admin or have been on several boards before or commissions before, but not me. Pretty much just classroom teaching for me. So I was very nervous and very unsure of whether or not I had a place here, or this should be my place, or that imposter syndrome, all that stuff. But that first morning at Burbank Airport, and meeting a few of our commissioners there, one of whom was Commissioner Fairchild and another one, Commissioner Munoz, instantly, like the warmth, the support, the love was right there. And I just instantly knew, like, okay, I'm in the right place. I'm in the right place. These are good people who I would need all day to itemize all of their accomplishments as educators for each of our commissioners and the work that they've done over these years. But just the warmth and camaraderie and support that I received, I think a lot of other commissioners could probably also relate to that, because these commissioners who are leaving, for me, they represent like the last of the OG group that was on the commission already when I joined. And the experience has been so great, largely because of these commissioners. And I personally am just, the virtual world is quite difficult, and teaching in the virtual world is quite difficult. And I just wish we could have been in person, at least for today's meeting, for this. And I just want to say to each of the departing commissioners, I look up to you so much. Such fantastic educators. And Munoz, I know we are in the same districts. I look forward to seeing you whenever we start having like whole district collaborations again. But yeah, this is a very bittersweet day from my vantage, from my view here. And I will very much miss hearing all the tips and details about, which hotels to book, or here's how you do your expense report, and also just the wisdom shared by each of you about your own travels in this world of education. So I just want to wish everybody, of course, the best of luck. Hopefully we will see some of you returning in various capacities as we continue the big work of the mathematics framework and all that. But I do want to turn it over to other commissioners to share any acknowledgements that you have before I turn it over to our commissioners who happen to be departing. I see Commissioner Costa Hernandez.
Hi, good morning. I just want to echo what Chair Rustin just said, and about the warmth, the welcoming, the snacks, the you can do this. This is totally you, right? Kind of helping with that imposter syndrome that you get when you sit there for the first time, from all of them, the support, and kind of connecting to the orientation that we were just talking about, and the importance of understanding the level of preparation that is required to fulfill our responsibility with the frameworks, and how each of these 4 commissioners exemplify that and model that, for me at least, right? When I was trying to understand, okay, I read it, but how do I show what kinds of comments are appropriate to make? How do I show my understanding of my questions? I learned from each one of them, and the way their commitment to the process, the commitment to the quality of the frameworks, the way they prepare, the way they showed up to do the work and express their convictions in a way that was collaborative, but that really made everything better. So I want to thank you, all of you, for being such an exemplary role model for me. And I hope that our paths cross as soon as we can see each other again in person, that I know that our paths will cross again. And I look forward to that. Thank you.
Speaking of the preparation, I'm definitely going to miss seeing Commissioner Renteria with her giant stack of, she would print out all the frameworks, print out all the resources, and just have a giant stack with so many notes, so many post-its, all of that. And I would just marvel at that. Commissioner Young, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to take a moment and just really express my gratitude and appreciation for all of the 4 commissioners whose tenure is about to be up with us. Even though I didn't get to experience any of you in person, even the warmth that you all have through this virtual Zoom was really, I could feel it. Especially just thank you, Shay, for all of your support with the framework, the work that we did this summer with Spanish language programs. I just really appreciated being able to learn from you and being able to listen and kind of watch you work. You are all just so kind and so knowledgeable. And I have really enjoyed being able to sit back and listen to the deliberations and to how you, all 4 of you as commissioners, really engage in this work, never forgetting the importance of the work and the importance of the work for California's students. So thank you all for all of your time and dedication. And I feel honored to have been able to learn and serve and work with you all.
Thank you. Commissioner Andre.
I just really short and sweet. I appreciate that the one and only meeting I got to go to, I got to meet all 4 of you. And I thought, hearing Chair Rustin, I thought that was only my experience. I thought the getting there, the nerves, very similar. I had never stepped out of my classroom, had been on committees in my district, but had never even been to Sacramento. And the kindness and the passion that I felt in that one meeting and meeting the 4 of you. I remember, Shay, I remember you choked up. And I was like, I choked up too. And I said, these are my people. I landed where I'm supposed to be. And even Alma, we ran into each other going home at the airport. And, you made me feel You made me feel like I was where I'm supposed to be. And I appreciate that, and I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Strauss?
So I just want to say, many of us started this work in person and then transitioned to remote. And I think what we've discovered remote, our classes and our teaching, is that you do make connections. It's not quite the same, but you do get to know people. What I would ask is for those people who remember the way it was before and will be back again in person again, please remember to reach out and meet people for dinner, meet for breakfast and have coffee. It's getting to know people, that personal connections that really last so long that some of us knew each other before IQC, but we will all know each other after IQC. And the wonderful work about doing state work is that your whole network gets bigger. So you can call Lily down in Alhambra, or call Danae in Arcadia, or call Marianne in Linwood. And you now know friends and colleagues who have specialists, and you all have a long road ahead of other professional development opportunities you'll be doing. And these are a huge resource. And I would say it's been our honor. I do want to honor also Pam Castleman from State Board is moving on. So this is her last IQC meeting. She's going to be doing teacher and leader training at Jessup University in Sacramento. And she's been an amazing support for State Board and IQC. And both Member Rucker and I will be finishing our 11 years on the State Board very shortly. So I think we all have a really important role in carrying on the legacy of the community of work together, because we do provide support for districts as they move ahead in critical times coming out of pandemic. So I just want to thank you all that in spite of all that was going on in your district, in your classroom, in your school, bills, students, work to do, everything, you were able to stay committed to the work that made a difference for the state. And so for those of you, we've all worked together. We so appreciate your support. And you still have our emails. And I know Patricia and I both feel like we are a larger community, and we have learned you don't have to go to Sacramento now to have those connections. So again, please continue the legacy of the community of IQC. And thank you for your part in making this an amazing process for students and for our schools in California. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gotanda.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to take a moment to just say thank you. The four of you were just so inspirational. I got one meeting in person, and I came home to tell my family about the amazing people that I met. Yolanda, you gave me such good travel tips, and Christina, I felt like I found my Ed Services sister. Alma, your energy and just, all of the advice that you were giving us about, doing all of the framework stuff, and Shay, the snacks. I got to experience the snacks one time, but just, your passion and your inspiration, all four of you have just been such a wonderful group of people to be with. So thank you so much for showing me what it means to be a commissioner on the IQC, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. Commissioner Jarvis.
Yes, I just want to take this opportunity to, wish you well as you move forward after serving on the commission. Personally, you have been very inspirational to me, role models to look up to. And I have learned from you the manner in which we held our meetings, how to be a better commissioner. And I just want to say that although we only had the privilege of meeting in person just once, that your energy, your compassion, your dedication, and just your support as a member of the committee is invaluable. And I will always remember you. Thank you, and best of luck as you move forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Williamson.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks. It has been an amazing time and learning so much at the different levels from the different commissioners. I remember, Christine, when we were doing one of the in-person works with math, I believe, early on, and I'll be honest, it's one of those things I walked in and it's like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. and she was right next to me. And it's like, this is what we were looking at. So thank you for that. And just know that you mean a lot, even though I tend to be more of a background kind of observer instead of being out in the front. And it just listening to you all has made such an important role or made a difference for me. And just, I love coming into the meetings and listening to the conversations before I join myself. So thank you for all that. And just thanks for bringing a smile, and know that you will be missed. Take care and best of luck.
Thank you. Commissioner Astorga Almanza.
Yes, thank you. So thank you to the 4 commissioners for their service on this team and for sharing your knowledge with all of us. I especially want to thank Commissioner Renteria. It was an honor to serve alongside you, and I truly appreciated your energy and your leadership. And we had the Linwood connection there. And a special shout out to my buddy partner, Shay Fairchild. So I too only had the 1 meeting in person, and I couldn't have asked for a better buddy to bring me onto the team. Snacks were good too, the one time we had snacks. And I also truly appreciated all of those pre-meeting motivational text messages like, you've got this, you can do it, you're doing great. They were very helpful and so meaningful to me. And I will miss all of you. And I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. And I'm sure our paths will cross again, maybe dinner. But yes, thank you all so much.
Okay, and I'd like to open it up to any of the commissioners who would like to share some parting words with us. I see Commissioner Fairchild. You're up first.
I just want to say there's very few times in your life where you get to really immerse yourself with like-minded people. And I'm going to get emotional. Sorry, I didn't anticipate it. I have grown so much as an individual from being surrounded by the brilliance that this group brings. And everybody, even, from the crew that's sitting back there doing the videos and making sure everything's, they always gave a nice, hearty, warm welcome in the morning when we were there in person, and the Seaford staff. And just, I am truly amazed at the monumental work that is done and in the background that makes us look good. And then you get to sit with amazing people. There's just too many to thank. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you and your brilliance that you have brought. And I have grown as a person. I'm a better teacher, I think. And I hope that we never forget, that students, we're fighting for our students. And anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for all of it. It's been a fast 4 years.
Commissioner Chapman.
Thank you. When I was listening to all of you describe like your first day on the commission, you brought me back to 4 years ago and feeling that same way, like, is this my place? Are these my people? And I hope you all like connect with somebody the way that we all have had a chance. I leave these 3 lovely ladies that we came together onto the commission with and bonded with really quickly. And it's so sad to not be in person with you to say goodbye, but I just want to tell them that I'm very grateful to have served with them. Also, just super thankful for this experience. It really is once in a lifetime opportunity, but really taught me a lot of lessons. And although it's been such a challenging year in education, the work continued for the IQC. We really did continue to do what needed to be done to support our students and our educators and ensuring that they had those high quality resources and direction that they need from the state. And ultimately, I really want to thank the Seaford staff and state board members, Rucker and Strauss, for really being like our guiding lights through these last 4 years. They really are kind of the mainstays of the commission and help to support us in all of our endeavors. And I want to look forward to watching the IQC push out work in the coming years. And I know that it'll be amazing, as it always is, very thoughtful processes, and making sure that we're always putting our kids first. So thank you so much.
Commissioner Munoz.
Okay, one day I'm going to get the hang of the mute button. I want to say thank you to all of you on the commission here, particularly the four of us that are leaving. It has been an amazing journey, and the journey it really is. I learned a bit from each and every one of you on the commission, but most importantly, I learned a lot about myself. Earlier in the year, Commissioner Rutger asked us, during this pandemic, where do you see yourself, or what experiences did you feel during this time? And I'm telling you that the roller coaster ride has been up and down, but I couldn't have done it with all the support from each and every one of you. And as a Native American, and that ethnic studies is going to be one of the highlights that I'm going to take away from this commission, as well as serving as your chair and vice chair during that time. It's been a dream of mine and a passion that we all learn from each other, and we value each other and our experiences. So for that, I'd like to thank a few people. One of them, most importantly, is my parents. They are no longer with me, but they were true advocates. They were my first teachers to help me be a better person and to acknowledge the importance of education for all students. I also like to thank my CTA family, who helped me to become a stronger teacher leader. Marlene Fong, Roberto Gallegos, Norma Sanchez, Eric Hines, and Toby Boyd. The superheroes at the State Department there. Again, you guys don't know how incredible you really are. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you on behalf of the 2 million children that we all represent, because without your dedication, and we heard that today with dyslexia, our children's lives would be totally different. So I want to thank Pam Castleman and Alejandro for teaching me some new red cup, yellow cup, green cup strategies during the World Languages Review. And I also want to thank our two former directors, Dr. All of a sudden, I can think of Stephanie as Stop. I don't know if y'all remember her story about Stop. That's how she got her name. It was a advertisement. But anyway, Dr. Grayson and Shani Coates. And I also want to thank the State Board of Education for having the privilege and honor to believe in me and picking me to serve, because I think as a Native American, it is as a female Native American serving under the First Nations Mohawk tribe, it is the female who serves and nurtures. And so I thank you for all that. Not the men don't, but they have a different role. And I thank you for that and allowing me to serve. The greatest thing anyone could do is to serve. And for my special message for any teachers who are listening, you are all leaders. Take the chance, fill out those 2 positions, because I hear, oh, we as teachers have nothing or can't contribute anything. This is one of the greatest things that you contribute, your voice, your passion. And as Board Member Rucker put it, patience, persistence, and humility. Those are the functions that we as classroom teachers every day strive to make better citizens of our students. So please sign up and serve on this board. Thank you.
Commissioner Renteria.
Thank you, Chair Rustin. So I'm going to make mine short and quick, because as I was listening to Shay, I was already getting choked up. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to say something. But I just want to say thank you to all of you. As many of you know, I was a school board member when I first came on the commission, and I really thought that was the greatest impact I would ever have. And earlier on this year, I actually resigned because I knew that I had to be a better principal and prioritize my time. And I wanted to be a better commissioner. And with the world languages adoption, like I knew where my priorities were. And I think that was the moment I realized the impact of this commission, where it meant so much more to serve the state of California than it did to hold a title that no longer served me. So that all comes to say that working with all of you has truly been an honor of a lifetime. So thank you all so much. I am so excited to see the work that will continue. I'm constantly motivated just by seeing people be so committed and dedicated to a cause. And I think that as long as every choice and every decision that we make at the Department of Ed is centered on students, we're gonna do the right thing. So to all the three of you that are outgoing with me, it's been so great to get to know all of you, to have gone in from the get-go into the science adoption and just being like, I have no idea what we're doing, but we signed up, let's just figure it out. And it's been just a beautiful journey ever since. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It's just, I am so excited for all that's ahead.
Executive Director, Dr. Torres.
Thank you so much. And it's so heartwarming to hear all of these stories. I know my time on the as part of this group has been very short, but the work that the four of you have done has been incredible. Commissioner Renteria, you've been the vice chair of the Every Student Succeeds Act Committee, the chair and the vice chair of the World Languages SMC. You've worked on the mathematics framework, the world languages framework, and the world languages adoption. Commissioner Chapman, you've been the chair of the Math Subject Matter Committee. You've also worked on the Math Framework, Arts Education Framework, and the Arts Education Adoption. Commissioner Fairchild, it's almost a case of what haven't you done? The chair and the vice chair of the Health Subject Matter Committee, chair and vice chair of the PE Subject Matter Committee, and the chair of the Subject Matter Committee. Also worked on the Arts Education Framework, the Math Framework, and the Arts Education Adoption. Pulling double duty as facilitating for both of those. And Commissioner Munoz, you're vice chair of the Mathematics Subject Matter Committee, chair and vice chair of the History Social Studies SMC, interim chair and vice chair of the IQC, and having worked on the Ethnic Studies Model Curriculum, the World Languages Framework, the Mathematics Framework, and the World Languages Adoption. You've all set such a high standard for the work of the IQC that we've actually had to post the IQC application period twice in order to fill your position. So we are a bit spoiled here, having you and then needing to fill your positions. Now, each commissioner will receive a certificate of recognition from the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, and it'll read, this certificate of recognition, and I wish I had one in front of me to share with you. This certificate of recognition is presented to Commissioner Chapman, Commissioner Fairchild, Commissioner Munoz, and Commissioner Renteria, respectively, in honor of outstanding service as a valued member of the Instructional Quality Commission from 2018 through 2021. Your valuable contributions of time and expertise have been instrumental in furthering our mission to provide all children with quality and innovative educational materials so they can develop and achieve their full potential. I extend my sincere appreciation for the time and effort you have contributed to such a worthwhile endeavor, signed by the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, the Honorable Tony Thurmond. And I hand it back to Commissioner Rustin.
I'm sad we don't get to see those certificates in person either, because those are impressive looking certificates, if I do recall from the one in-person farewell that I remember seeing. Well, folks, I wish everybody well, both departing commissioners and those commissioners who will be rejoining us in January for the new commissioner orientation. I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, whatever that might look like for you. I hope everybody gets the rest and the warmth and the love that they deserve. And with that, our agenda is concluded, and I now adjourn the meeting.